have a job to do. Go down to the planet, collect all the shit you can, right? And then bring it back. If you fail, I'll hate you forever. No, but seriously, I just thought I'd let you know that the planet you're going to, nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows what's down there. Nobody really gives a fuck over on my end, because we're safe where we are. But if you could, and you will, because it's part of your job, you will go down to the surface of the planet, sending your rover to collect some artifacts and bring back to us, because that's the most important factor of this game. That's the whole point that's the whole reason why you're here. It's your fucking job, right? Remember, expensive stuff good, cheap stuff bad, and be sure to check that cargo, because you may or may not have some visitors. You didn't hear that from me. Please don't die.
Deep beyond the confines of our cringe planet lies a video game worth exploring and diving into for its unique gameplay style and surprisingly horrifying imagery. Developed by Derek Rule, I hope I said that right, and published by foryoupage, Scavenger SV-4 is a pretty solid title for those looking for an experience unlike many others in the indie game space. On paper, it might sound boring, but I can assure you that this is a pretty damn good one. The player takes control of a lone space wanderer and a custom-colored ship of their choosing as you explore the depths of an unknown planet using nothing more than a mechanical drone operated from your ship remotely. Your goal is to send the drone down to the surface of this infernal planet and document anything you find, as in driving around and picking up different artifacts. With its very minimalistic approach and design, it's a surprisingly effective game. Scavenger SV-4 works for any noble explorers looking to play something a little bit less strenuous or intense, at least most of the time. Before we get into the gameplay itself, I'll go ahead and summarize what you can look forward to when launching up the game. For starters, you get to lightly change the way your ship looks with its paint design and name, as I mentioned earlier. You get to randomly select a name, or you can choose one yourself. For these few games, I went with Butt Double, Imani Wilson, and finally, Kim Wexler Feet. Once in the ship, you can take a look around the environment to get yourself used to the surroundings and interact with multiple terminals, even accessing randomly generated text notes, a music player, and a minigame that I don't fucking understand in the slightest, but it's still kinda neat. There's an overwhelming amount of rooms and information for you to absorb, like in the medical bay, debatably the most important section of the ship. Here you'll have to regularly give yourself some diagnostics and cure radiation sickness that causes damage over time against your will. Since the planet is engulfed in it, it only makes sense that you're gonna suffer from radiation poisoning if you stay too long. I've personally dumped more hours into the game than I've dumped ass. There are tons of various reasons to play it in today's market, one huge factor being its randomly generated environment on the planet's surface. This guarantees you a mix of different possibilities as you send your rover into orbit and wait patiently for it to touch the ground. This is the core gameplay feature. Once you're on the surface, it's time to roam around and look for some interesting things to bring back to your ship. At any time, you can recall the rover to the cargo bay, unload the necessary artifacts you found, and hold on to them until the end of your mission when you set sail for civilization and sell them for a profit. Gathering artifacts with the rover isn't as easy as picking your nose and eating it, though. The various mechanics of the rover will complicate your session if you're not carefully navigating the seemingly dead planet. You have to be focused on each individual model of the rover, like its battery percentage, the type of terrain, the survey map, and of course the big-ass shitty quality camera. As you venture and discover these artifacts, you'll find that some of them include upgrades for the rover. Things like better wheels, a boost module, an enhanced camera, even defensive weapons like rocket launchers and laser cannons. You might be wondering why you'd ever need defensive weaponry on an uninhabited planet. Oh, I never quite said you were entirely alone out here. Yeah, this is where things get interesting. As it turns out, the planet is riddled with strange beings that are unknown to mankind, a strange extraterrestrial species that only has one goal: to stop you. You'll encounter such epic and outstanding things like flying spacecrafts that launch rockets down upon you like a stealth bomber, these weird tall stick-like things that remain stationary and shoot a sharp projectile at you, or even worse, you could accidentally pick up a visitor that you didn't intend on inviting into the ship. I swear, this game was always seen as a super relaxing and chill experience to me, until I happened to glance at some unknown cargo making its way through my ship from the rover itself. I panicked, hoping that maybe, just maybe, the creature was gone. I can't tell you how terrified I was to continue playing after this happened. Of course, this is but one outcome for a less than fortunate soul who decided to enter the hostile planet and take something that wasn't theirs. It is possible to survive, so long as you play it safe and keep your eyes on the environment around you. The rover is a slow, hefty piece of equipment, and at the start you have no way of defending yourself. You have no choice but to trek to these strange monuments scattered across the map and recover the data and rover upgrades. Once you find something, you call the rover back and send the item over to the science wing of your main ship. Here you can research the artifacts you've collected and determine what they're used for. Artifacts are usually alien in nature and unfortunately don't have any visuals applied to them, but the descriptions are well detailed and help to boost your imagination. Alien artifacts are expensive and ultimately increase the score at the end of your journey. Gadgets for the rover must be applied and installed in the garage sector of the ship, utilizing the terminal. Here you can also repair any minor damages to the rover, which is a necessity. Consider the rover as the bike from Days Gone or the PDA in Stalker. It really is your lifeline. Without it, you're fucked. I'm not making that up either. If your rover takes too much damage on the planet's surface, you won't be able to call it back to the ship. It'll stay there, along with anything you've discovered and didn't get to bring back. This is a big multitask kind of game. When you're not focused on gathering resources with the rover, you're focused on the player's health and well-being, as staying too long in the ship can lead to a negative outcome if you aren't careful. It doesn't serve much of a purpose, but there is an option to wear a spacesuit and explore the exterior of your ship. If you float too far, it's game over. If you run out of air, much of the same. Although there isn't much reason to come out here, the option is kind of cool. I don't know, I personally couldn't find anything outside of the ship worth talking about. You can even make the mistake of sucking yourself out of the airlock without a suit and ending your game instantly if you want. The attention to detail is pretty impressive, honestly. If your rover is armed with a cannon and you take aim at your own ship while in orbit, you can blow yourself up and get a pretty funny ending text screen. Maybe not the brightest idea to aim a powerful weapon at the giant ship that you're on. You can kill the aliens if you're quicker and more accurate than they are. Once defeated, the alien creatures will actually drop a rare artifact for you to collect and bring back, which is super intuitive. You'd think there wouldn't be any reward for invading this planet full of strange creatures just trying to live their lives, but as it turns out, you can go all Christopher Columbus on them.
Hostile human entering our base. Attack overnight. Garbage bomb. Over and out. Oh, there, look out, look out, look out!
Oh, fuck! That moron blew himself up. Did he not see the giant mountain in front of his face? Too bad my fucking rover won't make it up that steep-ass hill. I'm leaving out a lot of details, so let me backtrack for a minute. If at any point you encounter some troubles with the ship, such as terminals shutting themselves down or the oxygen depletes by some weird circumstance, you can navigate to the back of the ship and reset the terminals manually with a reboot. I've never personally encountered any danger within the ship, aside from that fucking alien that ate my face off earlier, so I'm unaware if there's a way for the ship to begin malfunctioning. I've never really survived long enough to find out, considering the radiation levels of the planet are lethal enough to kill you even while inside. I'll go ahead and give you my complaints about the game. Might as well, there aren't many, so it's easier to address them now while I can. There isn't much else to do in the ship besides work on your rover and add upgrades to it. The medical bay is a constant necessity. Consider it like a health pack. You have to continuously scan yourself to ensure that you'll survive as long as possible and gain the best outcome for your character. It gets a bit tedious though, having to jump back into it every few minutes, and it doesn't always guarantee that you'll have a positive endgame. Another slight complaint I have is the overall trial and error gameplay, but it's honestly pretty well done here. I enjoyed testing myself with different situations and traveling into hostile territories, often watching my rover get fucked up beyond all recognition. I also liked learning the ropes of how each station works in the ship. Operating the rover from the comfort of the pilot's chair is a feeling I can't really put to words. Sadly, the other rooms of the ship don't serve much of a purpose other than to be aesthetically pleasing. The suit, I'm convinced, is completely useless and doesn't provide any sort of benefit when roaming outside the ship. It would be neat to have the clean exterior of the ship, or perhaps ward off some unsuspecting visitors who may be hiding underneath the hull. As of right now though, going outside the ship is a death sentence. Unless, I don't know, are you supposed to wear the suit inside the ship? I would have never guessed that. You get defensive weaponry for the rover as I mentioned way earlier, but it can be tricky using the equipment you find. Some cannons, fuck, most of them actually, can't be aimed manually with the mouse and must be centered with the drone itself in order to hit your mark. Even then, depending on the weapon you're using, it takes more than a few hits to destroy an alien or one of their ships. A really stupid complaint here, but I don't like that you don't have a rendered body. Most FPS games have this feature, and I've always praised it when it's come up in modern games, but I won't hold the developer in too much hot water over that decision. Perhaps it's a more complex than I'm making it out to seem, who knows. Those are all the complaints I have, thank God. Now back to sweating over this indie masterpiece. There's nothing more fun and thrilling than driving away from a hostile aircraft with the boost enabled on the Rover. It's an ethereal experience and a giant step for humanity. Can you imagine how fucked up and scary it would be if one of our American rovers discovered something like this? I've seen plenty of space photos to know that the surrounding planets of our solar system are just terrifying. Did you know that the photographic rover NASA sent to Venus was destroyed in mere moments after landing due to the high caustic environment on the surface? We were only able to obtain a few photos before the drone had shut itself off. As far to my knowledge, this is the only photograph of Venus we were ever able to finalize and see for ourselves. Every other one, from what I've read, is either faked or AI generated to exaggerate the landscape. Kind of creepy, don't you think? The way the rover seems to have aimed its camera toward the ground before finally giving up, not even getting the chance to show us 5 feet in front of it. This game feels like you're a barely working heavy-duty piece of equipment on a simple adventure for discovery, and I love everything about it. It would also be a super cool idea to integrate mod support, maybe introducing the idea of visiting new planets with different species that interact with the player in multiple ways. Scavenger SV-4 doesn't need that to be good, but it is still pretty good on its own. And yeah, pretty scary at times too. The first time I discovered the alien species, I'd be lying if I said I didn't jump out of my skin a little. It reminds me very much of Iron Lung, which is another indie horror game I've referenced a lot on the channel. I probably won't ever cover that game because it's been gone over by just about everyone else on the platform, though I highly recommend you try it for yourself. Honestly, I feel like Scavenger SV-4 is pretty damn good on its own. It doesn't need mod support, nor does it rely on complex and ridiculous mechanics to carry it. It's a simple idea converted into a game, and it works wonderfully. The creepy atmosphere of the planet is enough to invest even the most curious cosmonauts. It's a great experience for players looking to discover new things, both scary and exciting. I happened to get the game on sale during a special deal event, but I assure you it's worth every penny if you're looking to adventure into a deep unknown and put yourself in the shoes of a real astronaut, trying your best not to fuck everything up in the process of science. That's about all I have for today. I really appreciate you guys checking out today's video, and I'll see you next time.
Scavengers, scavengers, assemble your bungholes, get ready to explode. We're gonna go turbo, turbo. Run away from the aliens, they took my dad, running all around, stealing artifacts, and that's about